This week I've had, well, it's not so atypical actually, but I've had several persons who are either couch surfing or on the streets come by my house every day and visit. Some have coffee, some I take out and grab a lunch, etc. People I've known for a long time. One came by, I guess it was last evening, and he chooses to live on the streets, has for years, and he is at least fortunately well dressed and protected and manages well. But my heart just goes out. I don't know how he does it, and talk to him a little bit about it, and he tells me why he chooses to, and I understand that choice. But man, it's just so tough. We talked last night at our Wednesday night Y at our church on a Zoom meeting, and the subject is, why does God let bad things happen to supposedly good people? And it was incredible. We got deep into the subject, and it was not the Pollyanna kind of solutions. In fact, we didn't have a solution. There isn't one to that one. Just an awareness of some of the possibilities of trying to cope with it and recognize God's role or relationship to it. It was a good conversation. And it comes in the midst of the beginning of our Advent season this year, which is a wonderful, the most wonderful story ever told, clearly. But we have made it something, almost a caricature of it, as something almost cartoonish and wonderful in the wrong sense, I think. You take even like the song "Away in a Manger." No crib for a bed, the little Lord Jesus lay down his sweet head. Yeah, all right. The cattle are lowing, whatever that means. They're sleeping or rest. The poor baby wakes. The little Lord Jesus, no crying he makes. Yeah, right. Not true. He cried, he screamed, just like children do today as they're waking up and experiencing the pain of what it is to be human, as well as the great joy of what it is, and discovering how to balance that and create with that. And Mary and Joseph looked at each other and I'm sure several times wondered, this is the Son of God, and what are we doing to him, and how do we handle this, like parents of every generation do. I'm amazed at how many of the stories that surround Advent were filled with difficulty. Zechariah, Elizabeth, who lived her whole life, though she was privileged, she was quite wealthy because her husband was a priest in the Holy Temple in Jerusalem itself, and so she was well connected, but she bore her disgrace of being childless, and in that culture that was a statement about God looking upon you. In fact, the text says, as Luke tells it, the Lord has done this for me, Elizabeth said. In these days he has shown his favor and taken away my disgrace among the people. Well, God was awfully slow getting there. And we don't understand the depth of that pain, or Mary herself. The text says right after the angel talked to her, she about being the woman who would carry the child of God. She said, may it be to me as you have said. Then the angel left her. The text reads, at that time Mary got ready and hurried to a town in the hill country of Judea. It sounds like where she went into Zechariah's home. Sounds like she was off on some kind of great vacation to celebrate. Not at all. Her husband-to-be had rejected her, did not believe her, could have had her killed, chose to quietly put her away, hence a trip away for a season. Her mother and father likely did not believe her. I mean, who would believe such a story? And so you have a woman going to Jerusalem very much alone. The Matthean text, it starts off with introducing us to Herod, one of the most wicked kings that ever lived. And his death, he killed 400 people, priests of God, in order that Jerusalem would be mourning, so that somebody would be crying out. He was an incredibly wicked king. Did some of the most wonderful things in the world. He created the temple, reconstructed it, and made it one of the 7 wonders of the age, but with great pain. And he attempted to take the children of Bethlehem away so that he might get at the, quote, Messiah. So there isn't a part of this story that isn't filled with tragic, right down to the birthplace. The fact that you have this pregnant woman who's anxious, who her water's about to break, and she has no place to stay, and she's going to have a child who's not laying his head sweetly and waking up with a nice gentle cry and tender moment, but who's going to be born into a cattle trough. Because that's the way the world is. In many ways. It's wonderful, but it's painful. Painful for some more than others. We are in the midst of a horrible disease that's affected 2020 worldwide, but we are months from having a vaccination, and yet much of the world, in the southern part of the universe, our world, has no such hope. It will be 3, 4, 5 years before the vaccination gets to them. It's an unjust world. It's a great world, but it's an unjust world. And the message of Christmas is God says, I have come to you. It's one thing for God to know everything that is knowable. It's quite another thing for God to feel everything that's feelable, if you will. To know by experience through the eternal Son of the living God becoming flesh. And God, who only knew joy and creativity and love, now tastes the death of our sin. Now tastes its anger, its hurt, its pain in very real ways through the Son. And to this moment, through the prayers of the Son, who is our high priest. So the question is, to whom will you be Jesus? The real Jesus, not the little one who doesn't scream, but the real Jesus who cries out, who hurts, who dies. Who this Christmas will you be Jesus to? God bless you.